Hey everyone, welcome back to the House of Bamboo. Today I will be reviewing Aladdin and the King of Thieves. I almost called it Aladdin 3. I feel like that would be a disgrace for the original Aladdin movie, and that goes with any of the sequels. Let's get started with the video quote for today. Today's quote is, "When we rescue others, we rescue ourselves." Okay, so if you guys seen my last video of the review of Return of Jafar, this video is going to be really similar to that, but honestly this movie wasn't as bad compared to the second one. I really don't know what they were doing with that last movie. But this one, it was at least a movie, and it was actually an Aladdin movie because he was actually the main character this time. So that was nice to see. And honestly, I feel like this should just replace the sequel, even though there's still no need for either of these movies, to be honest. But yeah, so no spoiler warning or anything like that. I'm just going to start off with positives and then many more negatives and what I thought about the movie overall. Okay, starting off, I said the same thing with Return of Jafar. The quality is just still bad. I thought it might have improved since this is a later movie, but no, it's really the same quality as the last one. So it really does suck. And I know I'm comparing it to like I think on Disney Plus it's a 4K remastered version of the original one, but I really did like that quality. It really made it a lot easier, even easier to find clips for you guys to show reviews of this movie. So that really did suck. But like I said with the last one, there was no need for any of these movies. Okay, the first somewhat positive was the jokes. I feel like they definitely tried to make the jokes more funny, which is actually a pretty good thing because that was like my main thing I said I liked about the first movie was that an amazing comedy, and I really liked the jokes, and it was like the funniest Disney movie I watched so far. But there was a couple, I think I might have laughed like once or twice, so most of the jokes were just okay, I guess, and it really did feel kind of forced, especially from the genie. I know they brought back the old voice actor, but I think most of his jokes were just making a bunch of like old Disney references, which I didn't even get most of them, so maybe that's just me, but I think just spamming a bunch of Disney references isn't really funny. It felt really forceful, to be honest. But there were a couple of good jokes here and there. Next point is the songs. Like I said with the first one, I love the songs, some of my favorite Disney songs. Not to the level of Lion King, but definitely some decent ones. Not even decent, really good ones. This movie had more mid songs. I would even call it Lion King 2 song level. It's probably second worst still. Yeah, I can't name a single good song, to be honest. They were just alright, like just mediocre. So it wasn't too bad compared to Return of Jafar, which most of the songs were pretty unbearable to listen through, especially with Iago. Most of the songs were with him. Okay, and my main positive, which I probably should have started off with, but you heard me talking about earlier, Aladdin is actually the main character. Which is, very surprising, especially after we got like a whole movie of Iago basically being the main character, even though it's a Aladdin sequel. So I don't know, that always did really bother me. But I'm glad Aladdin is actually the main character. We don't get to see that much of Jasmine, which kind of sucks. I feel like it would have been great to see more of her too, because it's like their wedding together and their chemistry. But yeah, they made him the main character by bringing back his father, which I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a plot, but like back to my original question, did we really need this? I mean, it's cool to know his dad's out there, but like feel like it never really added on to anything from the original story still. Like, can't think of a single thing in this movie that added on to it. So that really did kind of suck. But it was cool learning about his dad. It's just like we didn't really need this. And then I felt like the conclusion with the dad was alright, I guess. Like nothing really changed between any of the characters. Aladdin and Jasmine still getting married. I guess Iago joined his father. That's the only like meaningful change that happened. And I guess Aladdin knows he has a dad. Like nothing really impacted the characters in any way. So it really does kind of feel like filler. I mean, I guess the dad wouldn't have turned completely good, but it did feel off that everything was exactly the same at the beginning of the movie, except that they know he has a dad. I guess the moral they were trying to go with is don't judge people, give people another chance, even though he's going back as a thief. So I feel like that kind of counteracts it, but maybe that's just me. But yes, overall, it was good to see Aladdin as the main character, and that definitely helped the movie. Other than that, that was all my positives, really. I really can't say any positives more about this movie. So on to negatives. I basically kind of said most of my negatives in that positive section. But I think my main one is that the movie really wasn't enjoyable. It was really boring. And dare I say it was probably more boring than the second one. But I've been thinking about this recently, and I think I'd rather have something that's boring and written somewhat well than something that's somewhat entertaining but just written poorly and ruins the characters. So I think that's why I'm still leaning a bit more towards this movie compared to the last one, even though it was really boring and not that enjoyable. I don't know. I think this movie was just really boring because there wasn't really any stakes. Like I said, everything was exactly the same from the beginning to the end. Like nothing really changed within the movie. Like at least in Return of Jafar, we had Jafar as a genie, and sure he was doing crazy stuff that a genie should never be able to do, but at least he was actually like an active threat. I feel like there was really no active threat in this movie. I guess you could call the Thieves Guild somewhat of a threat, but even then they weren't really much of a threat. So there was really no stakes, and I guess watching, I just knew nothing bad was going to happen. There wasn't anything actively harming them or getting in the way. I mean, I guess the biggest stake was that their wedding might get ruined, but I don't know. I just knew their wedding was going to happen regardless. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of saying I missed Jafar, even though how much I was complaining about it in the second movie. But at least he provided like an actual threat. One thing I did notice, which I thought was going to be the direction of the movie, was in the beginning how they were talking about how Aladdin is just some, I think, street rat or whatever they call him, and like he's not a real prince, and he's getting married to the princess. So I thought that was actually going to be like a key point of the movie. Like, I guess Aladdin proving to himself that he could be worthy of the title of a prince, even though he's not one by blood or something like that, I guess. And him actually like helping out town and like just proving that he's a good guy. He was a criminal, really, if you think about it. So I feel like it would be good to show him how he's trustworthy, even though he was really a criminal, because I'm pretty sure a good amount of people still know he's a criminal. Which kind of makes things a little bit more confusing with the dad later on too, because the whole point of why he leaves is he's a criminal, which I guess you're comparing the King of Thieves to like a street rat criminal, but like still, I feel like there could have been some type of balance between that, especially if they're letting Aladdin become prince after all that. So I feel like they really did miss out on that opportunity to show. Like, I wouldn't even be mad if they made that the entire third movie. Just showing how Aladdin is a good prince and helping the townspeople, because there's definitely people who hate him, and they show people that hate him. So I feel like that would have been good to resolve that conflict there, which never really gets resolved at all. Especially with the guards. Like, you can even see the guards are ready to get him out. Like, they do not like him at all. Which I guess you could argue is literally filler too, just like this movie. But I don't know. I guess I'm trying to make somewhat of a better movie. But either way, this movie should not exist. Same with the last one. There's no need for it. Yeah, they did go with my plot idea. So overall, even though this movie is better than the second one, I wouldn't say it was worth watching the second one or just watching any of these movies at all other than the first one. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Maybe a 5.5 max if you really like it. That's all I could see, but it's a little bit lower, especially just because it's not enjoyable. I really had to grind through this movie. It took me a minute. Yeah, definitely the least enjoyable movie on the Disney list. Talking about lists, I have my ranking, and like I said earlier, I have it slightly above The Return of Jafar, because even though Return of Jafar is more enjoyable, I have more writing problems in there, butchered more of the characters, which I didn't like, so I'm gonna have to give it to Aladdin, the King of Thieves, at the number 5 spot. Neither of those movies are close to becoming top 2, that's for sure. Okay, now I have an update regarding sequels, because I just went through 2 of probably the worst sequels I ever watched. So in the future, I don't think I'm gonna be watching sequels anymore, unless under certain conditions. Like, if I never heard of the sequel before, I'm probably not gonna watch it. But if I know there's a sequel that exists, like Toy Story, I know there's a bunch of sequels. Incredibles, I know there's a sequel for that. Frozen, I know there's a sequel for that. Sure, even if I heard the sequel was bad, I'm just gonna watch it because I know there's a sequel. But if it's something random, like what happened with Aladdin and some of these other movies, like I didn't even know Cinderella and all these other movies had sequels I never heard of, so I'm probably not gonna watch them. But if you guys want me to check them out and, I don't know, torture me, I guess. Just leave a comment whenever I watch that movie that has a sequel, and I'll get back to it. It'll probably be towards the end of my list because I do want to get through these Disney movies and then go through Pixar and DreamWorks next. And of course, I still have the Star Wars stuff I want to watch too. And eventually, I want to do the DC animated universe too. So, have some plans for that. But yeah, I'll add it probably towards like the end of my priorities. And yeah, and that just goes with any future Disney or franchise movie in general. If I miss something, I'll go back to it, and I can always add it back to the list and rank it among the others, because I'm sure I'm not going to be able to get to everything. But yeah, besides commenting that, just let me know what other future movies. I think I'm just going to start with the age I'm in now. I think it's the Renaissance age, so I'll probably just keep going up with that with, like, I don't know, Hercules or Mulan next, Lilo and Stitch, and then go up to modern Disney, then work my way back down to like the classics that I missed, Cinderella and Snow White and stuff like that, I guess. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next one, which will probably be another Disney movie and maybe Star Wars after if I finish Mandalorian anytime soon. See you guys.